whisper of darkness.
John Allen Chau was born on December 18, 1991, in Scottsboro, Alabama, the third and youngest child of Linda Adamus Chau, an organizer for Chi Alpha, and Patrick Chau, a Chinese-American psychiatrist who left China during the Cultural Revolution. Chau grew up in Vancouver, Washington, and attended Vancouver Christian High School. He admired numerous explorers and missionaries, including David Livingstone and Bruce Olson. He attended Oral Roberts University in Oklahoma, where he managed the university's soccer team, and graduated cum laude in 2014 with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science. Before 2018, Chau had participated in missionary trips to Mexico, South Africa, and Iraqi Kurdistan. He first traveled to the Andaman Islands in 2015 and 2016 as part of his missionary trips, but did not visit North Sentinel Island at that time. The 26-year-old was killed. He was trying to meet an endangered tribe that's been isolated for centuries. This is North Sentinel Island, one of the most mysterious places on Earth. It's been home to the most isolated tribe in the world for the last 60,000 years. North Sentinel is one of the Andaman Islands belonging to India, and visiting is strictly forbidden. However, in 2018, an American man illegally hired a local fisherman to take him there. They sailed at night to avoid the military boats patrolling the perimeter of one of the most unexplored places on the planet. If caught, they could face jail time. John Allen Chau had been preparing for this trip for years, meticulously studying the few existing reports about the tribe that inhabits this island, a people known as the Sentinel. No one knows their language origin or real name. But one thing's for sure, they're fierce and hostile to outsiders, who are known to attack and kill intruders on more than one occasion. But despite this, John was obsessed and would have done anything to make contact with the tribe. In a daring maneuver, John, the fisherman, evaded the military patrol and approached the coast before John continued on his own in a kayak. When he landed on the island, he was met with hostility, despite his attempts to offer gifts to the locals. And to mimic their language, the situation escalated to the point where arrows were fired at him. He wasn't scared off, though. He went back to his boat planning to give it another shot the next day, even knowing it could be super dangerous. Sadly, it turned out to be just that. Authorities say the 26-year-old was killed, possibly by bow and arrow, on what police described as a misplaced adventure in a highly restricted area. How did this unwanted tourist spend the last hours? Why was he so obsessed with this tribe? And what was the mistake that cost him life? Before you go and watch this episode, hit like and subscribe, and remember to tell your friends about us. North Sentinel covers an area of just 72 square km, just slightly bigger than the island of Manhattan. Its small size made it unattractive to European colonizers. Unlike the rest of the Andaman Islands, in the 19th century, British colonial authorities in India established a penal colony at Great Andaman, a few kilometers from North Sentinel. The natives there immediately started dying from diseases to which they had no immunity. Fortunately, the North Sentinel people were not affected. Very little is known about them, but because of their dark skin and small size, it's possible that they had arrived on the island during the first African migrations around 60 years ago, and that due to isolation, they continue to live in very primitive conditions. They are thought to survive by hunting wild boar and bow fishing, but some extraordinary accounts have accused them of cannibalism. In the 13th century, the famous Venetian explorer Marco Polo described them as violent and cruel people that would eat everybody they catch. Now, while their cannibalism has never been proven, they're not strangers to killing. In 2006, two fishermen who were suspected of poaching in the protected waters surrounding North Sentinel drifted ashore on the island. Another fisherman witnessed how the Sentinels killed them with homemade axes and buried them on the beach. All attempts to recover the bodies were met with violence. In the Sentinel tribe, the fishermen were left there. The island is protected under the Aboriginal Tribes Act of 1956. It forbids anyone from entering the island or even getting closer than 10 km from it. This protects the Sentinels from modern diseases. It also keeps potential visitors from being attacked. Now, even though he knew the law, John planned his journey for nearly a decade, a journey he hoped would culminate with the translation of the Bible into the Sentinel language. You see, John was a devoted Christian missionary committed to bringing Jesus to everyone in the world who hadn't heard of him. But why was he so obsessed with the Sentinel? Well, according to a New York Times investigation, he learned of their existence in high school while reading the Joshua Project, a missionary website where the Sentinel are presented as the most unreachable people on the planet, a great challenge for an enthusiastic young missionary. He began preparing for the trip, receiving medical training, toughening up with long outdoor outings, and 4 scouting trips to the Andaman Islands that began 3 years before his final expedition. Finally, on November 14th, 2018, he bribed a sneaky fisherman to smuggle him into the island. They arrived the next day, but he wasn't able to make contact. He was forced back by arrows and yells. I think the lesson here is that if an isolated, almost uncontacted tribe is shooting arrows at you, you should leave them alone. But John returned the next day before getting off the boat the next day. He wrote a note to his parents in his diary after the violent reception he had. He knew he could be killed, but he asked them not to be angry with the Sentinel. Now, there's no account in his diary of his experience on November 16th, but the night of November 17th, when the fisherman returned to check on him, he saw the Sentinel people dragging John's corpse along the beach, following John's death. The fisherman was imprisoned, and the authorities had to consider whether to charge the tribe with murder. So far, no one has been charged, and his body has not been recovered. Driven by his faith, John Allen Chau broke local laws, ignored the Sentinel tribe's desire to remain uncontacted, and involved others in his illegal journey, unfortunately. He also put the tribe at risk as they don't have immunity to the modern diseases we carry. North Sentinel Island is one of the most mysterious places in the world.